A reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 13. Abram went north out of Egypt to the southern part of Canaan with his wife and everything he owned, and Lot went with him. Abram was a very rich man with sheep, goats, and cattle, as well as silver and gold. Then he left there and moved from place to place, going toward Bethel. He reached the place between Bethel and Ai, where he had camped before and had built an altar. There he worshipped the Lord. Lot also had sheep, goats, and cattle, as well as his own family and servants. And so there was not enough pasture land for the two of them to stay together because they had too many animals. So quarrels broke out between the men who took care of Abram's animals and those who took care of Lot's animals. At that time, the Canaanites and the Perizzites were still living in the land. Then Abram said to Lot, "We are relatives, and your men and my men shouldn't be quarreling. So let's separate. Choose any part of the land you want. You go one way, and I'll go the other." Lot looked around and saw that the whole Jordan Valley, all the way to Zoar, had plenty of water, like the garden of the Lord, or like the land of Egypt. This was before the Lord had destroyed the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. So Lot chose the whole Jordan Valley for himself and moved away toward the east. That is how the two men parted. Abram stayed in the land of Canaan, and Lot settled among the cities in the valley and camped near Sodom, whose people were wicked and sinned against the Lord. After Lot had left, the Lord said to Abram, "From where you are, look carefully in all directions. I am going to give you and your descendants all the land that you see, and it will be yours forever. I am going to give you so many descendants that no one will be able to count them all. It would be as easy to count all the specks of dust on earth. Now, go and look over the whole land, because I am going to give it all to you." So Abram moved his camp and settled near the sacred trees of Mamre at Hebron, and there he built an altar to the Lord. The word of the Lord. A reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 14. 4 kings, Amraphel of Babylonia, Arioch of Elasar, Kedorlaomer of Elam, and Tidal of Goyim, went to war against 5 other kings, Bera of Sodom, Birsha of Gomorrah, Shinab of Admah, Shemeber of Zeboim, and the king of Bela or Zoar. These 5 kings had formed an alliance and joined forces in Siddim Valley, which is now the Dead Sea. They had been under the control of Kedorlaomer for 12 years, but in the 13th year they rebelled against him. In the 14th year, Kedorlaomer and his allies came with their armies and defeated the Rephaim in Ashtaroth Karnaim, the Zuzim in Ham, the Emim in the plain of Kiriathaim, and the Horites in the mountains of Edom, pursuing them as far as El Paran on the edge of the desert. Then they turned around and came back to Kadesh, then known as En-Mishpat. They conquered all the land of the Amalekites and defeated the Amorites who lived in the Hazazon Tamar. Then the kings of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, Zeboim, and Bela drew up their armies for battle in Siddim Valley and fought against the kings of Elam, Goyim, Babylonia, and Elasar. 5 kings against 4. The valley was full of tar pits, and when the kings of Sodom and Gomorrah tried to run away from the battle, they fell into the pits. But the other 3 kings escaped to the mountains. The 4 kings took everything in Sodom and Gomorrah, including the food, and went away. Lot, Abram's nephew, was living in Sodom, so they took him and all his possessions. But a man escaped and reported all this to Abram the Hebrew, who was living near the sacred trees belonging to Mamre the Amorite. Mamre and his brothers Eshcol and Aner were Abram's allies. When Abram heard that his nephew had been captured, he called together all the fighting men in his camp, 318 in all, and pursued the 4 kings all the way to Dan. There he divided his men into groups, attacked the enemy by night, and defeated them. He chased them as far as Hobah, north of Damascus, and got back all the loot that had been taken. He also brought back his nephew Lot and his possessions, together with the women and the other prisoners. When Abram came back from his victory over Kedorlaomer and the other kings, the king of Sodom went out to meet him in Shaveh Valley, also called King's Valley. And Melchizedek, who was king of Salem and also a priest of the Most High God, brought bread and wine to Abram, blessed him, and said, "May the Most High God, who made heaven and earth, bless Abram. May the Most High God, who gave you victory over your enemies, be praised." And Abram gave Melchizedek 1/10 of all the loot he had recovered. The king of Sodom said to Abram, "Keep the loot, but give me back all my people." Abram answered, "I solemnly swear before the Lord, the Most High God, maker of heaven and earth, that I will not keep anything of yours, not even a thread or a sandal strap. Then you can never say, 'I am the one who made Abram rich.' I will take nothing for myself. I will accept only what my men have used. But let my allies, Aner, Eshcol, and Mamre, take their share." The word of the Lord.